Outspoken British politician Lord Peter Hain wants the US government to follow the example of the United Kingdom in banning Bain Co from doing business with government. The UK Cabinet Office instituted a 3-year suspension of the company for its role in state capture in South Africa. Lord Hain is joining us live now from London to talk more about an opinion piece, an open letter, in fact, which you've written, addressed to the President of the United States, Joe Biden. Why is this crucial reading for him specifically?
Well, I asked the British government earlier this year, and they finally agreed in August last month to suspend Bain Company for 3 years, pending the legal proceedings which the Zondo Commission recommended against them. And that set a precedent. And I've asked the President of the US, Joe Biden, to do the same in respect of the American government. Because I think it's really important that corporates like Bain Company, in their case, playing an absolutely terrible role in damaging the South African Revenue Service at the direct behest of President Zuma. I think it's important that there are penalties for them when they behave like this, that they can't just get away with something like this, which has been so damaging in South Africa, and feel that their global reputations are untarnished. Their global reputation's badly damaged, and they're paying the price for it, in the hope, on my case at least, that they won't do anything like that again.
How much business does Bain Co do in the United States, and do you think that punishment from there would then, shall we say, lead to them feeling the consequences or the pinch as a result of their alleged wrongdoing? And in fact, I say alleged, but they've already admitted that they were indeed involved in some of what happened in the state capture years here in South Africa.
Well, remember that they are a global company launched from the United States. Their headquarters is in Boston in the USA. They do a massive amount of work in the country, in America, as well as doing work in the United Kingdom, South Africa, obviously, and right across the world. They are genuinely a global consultancy. And my point is that they've not really come clean from about the criticisms coruscating, really heavy criticisms from the Nugent Commission under Judge Nugent, and then from the Zondo Commission. They're not really admitted everything that they did. And remember that they got not just the 168 million or so rand contract from the South African Revenue Service, SARS, but they got 2 billion in total right across the state-owned enterprise sector at a time when former President Zuma was in power, when the corruption in state-owned enterprises like Eskom was absolutely rampant. And who knows what you might find if you turn the stones over in all its work. So until they come clean, really admit what they did and own up and pay the fees back that they shouldn't have earned, rather than simply the small amount they paid back in respect of SARS, then I think they deserve the unlawful tag that the Zondo Commission attached to them. And they shouldn't be doing business elsewhere, certainly using being paid in taxpayers' money in Britain or the United States, until they clean up their act and until they they give a full account for themselves, which they haven't.
But given the scale of the scandal around Bain Co here in South Africa, including what were findings by the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into state capture and the subsequent actions in the United Kingdom, why do you think that domestically in the United States there's not been much firmer action?
Well, I think that it hasn't really appeared on the radar of US politicians yet, which is why I've taken the initiative that I have. And as I understand it, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is due to meet Mr. Biden perhaps the end of this week. And so it's very timely, I think, to have written to to President Biden to ask him to take the same action. Remember that the United States has sanctioned the Gupta brothers, sanctioned others connected with the state capture scandal, and they've also got a Department of Justice investigation into Bain. So there is some attention being paid to Bain's activities in South Africa, and this is something that I think should receive the president's attention. He's obviously got a lot on his plate, but you know, an American corporation like this should have clean hands where it's operating across the world, and that hasn't been the case, and people need to know about it.
Can I ask you, Lord Hain, about consulting firms and why it is that they appear to be so pliable in terms of wrongdoing, be it in the public or private sector? Because in South Africa, there was a very clear thread that was emerging when you look at the state capture project and how it was done with the help of private sector companies who were in consulting mainly.
Yes, consulting firms and auditors and accountants and lawyers, the whole lot of them, and the state agents were all party to this. A lot of what the Guptas did in concert with former President Zuma could not have been as successful as it was in looting on this prodigious basis were it not for these companies helping them. And that's very clear in the case of Bain and the South African Revenue Service, and that's why the Zondo Commission's recommended that all their state enterprise work has be investigated. It's true for McKinsey, it's true for KPMG, it's true for SAP, as well as the banks, HSBC and Bank of Baroda and Standard Chartered, amongst others. Mm-hmm. So it couldn't have happened without their complicity. And it's important that they're held to account. In the case of Bain, what they did, after meeting Zuma 17 or 18 times privately, not with his civil servants present at an official meeting, but privately, presumably in his residence, in his official residence, right, is they actually acted directly on his instructions to make it harder for the revenue service to collect the taxes that it used to do, including from many of Zuma's cronies and friends. So, you know, that is a really terrible thing to do. And look at the damage that it's done to South Africa, a loss of a fifth of the country's wealth, really, really damaging to the economy, to the state sector, and to the country's reputation. I was talking to a senior investor in London only the other week who was saying that he used to invest in South Africa, but it became so terrible under former President Zuma that he pulled out. I mean, that is bad news for jobs and prosperity and the success of the South African economy, and therefore its ability to fund the public services, whether it's health or local service delivery, all of which are in crisis at the moment. And they're not all attributable to the Zuma decade, but a lot of it is.
One last question. You were part today of a session in Parliament in the UK where you are because the country is in mourning the death of its longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Your reflections on her passing, the future now under King Charles III, and I know that the monarchy is not involved and tries not to speak directly on politics, but given the conversation that we've just been talking about ethics and corruption in government, could there be a role for the monarchy today?
I don't think so in this episode, because the monarchs generally steered clear of day-to-day policy matters and politics in that sense. But I think the late Queen Elizabeth's passing is a moment to reflect on an extraordinary woman, whether you're a monarchist or not. And the overwhelming number of British citizens are monarchists. I guess most South Africans aren't, but I don't know that there's ever been an opinion poll. I think everybody is highly respectful for her sense of duty, her public service, the way she's carried herself over 7 long decades, an extraordinary reign, and she's given incredible service. So I think she deserves a universal respect in that way. And King Charles, her son, taking over, I mean, I know him, I've met him a number of times, and I think he'll carry out his duties with great diligence and earn similar respect in time to come.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lord Peter Hain, for speaking to us tonight on Newzroom Afrika.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.